Welcome to Just Saying, a podcast produced by and recorded at Tri-State Worship Center. Now your host, Pastor Terry Wagner.
Hey, welcome to another Just Saying podcast. I'm Pastor Terry, pastor at Tri-State Worship Center. I have with me in the studio today Holly Schneider.
Hello.
Say it again.
Hello.
Very, very nice. It's almost like that. What's that guy's name?
Hello.
Mrs. Doubtfire?
No.
Hello.
No.
Lemony Snickets.
Yeah, Snickets.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Come on,
that's
man.
not where my head was.
Where have you been?
Hello.
Have with me today in the studio Holly Schneider.
Holly Schnickets.
Hey, I always thought I'd come up with that. And the sound magician, Tyler Staten.
Hello.
That sounds like Mrs. Doubtfire.
It does. It doesn't sound like Lemony Snickets.
Hello.
How you doing, Tyler?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing great. We are in a new room.
Yeah. Not surrounded by
Not surrounded by all the food.
all the food that we're not going to mention anymore because
Right.
you didn't send us any money.
No money, no merch. We didn't get it. We've decided to set up a room at the church as our podcast room, and this is the first time we're using it.
Studio.
A studio.
We're gonna call
Let's
it
call it
studio.
studio. We're going to get one of those lights outside that
Yes.
says live and
On air.
on air. I like that. I like that. And so we're excited about continuing the podcast, working towards just looking at life through the lens of Scripture, which is what this podcast really has been all about. If you haven't been listening to the podcast,
Where you been?
where you been?
Where
wanted to throw that in there. I would encourage you to go back and listen to previous podcasts. The one that we just released last week, really powerful. Ryan Byers, pastor at the South Point Church of the Nazarene, just shared his testimony, and it was just awesome. And I would encourage you to go listen to that. But if you listen to any of them, we encourage you to like it, rate it, and review it, and share it.
Share it.
Share it. Share it. We're more. We have more favorable reviews than Stephen Furtick.
Yeah.
And if you know him, you can let him know I said that, because I ain't afraid of him. I ain't afraid of him. So, but what we've been doing in season 6 is we've been looking at ministry, just different ministries through the lens of Scripture. And we have with us in studio today D. Russell. I had to practice saying that because I want to call her D. Kosh, because that was her maiden name, and that's how I got to know D. And sometimes even with my own daughter, I'll still call her Holly Wagner.
It's just burned in there.
It's just in there. But D. Russell's with us, and D is over a couple different ministries here at Tri-State Worship Center, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But D, welcome to the Just Saying podcast. Glad you're here. Want you to take a few minutes and just tell us who you are. Tell us where you came from, why you're here, what you did to get here, all that neat stuff. We're going to take a nap. You take over.
Tell us your story.
Yes.
I'll listen while they nap.
I'm not sure you guys have enough time. But my name is Demetria Russell, maiden name Kosh. Most people call me D. Russell. It's just easier to remember and pronounce. I'm actually originally from Philadelphia. I've been here about 20 plus years.
West Philadelphia?
Never. Born and raised at the playground is where I spent most of my days. No, I'm actually from Germantown, Philadelphia, which is kind of a suburb, but still Philadelphia. And I came to South Point in 2004. And I went to a South Point Park outreach that the church was having and played some basketball with Josh Wagner.
J-Dub.
Yeah, shout out. And then the rest is history. These guys couldn't get rid of me. I was hanging out like your little sister, just always there hanging out. But no, I just, actually, let me tell on Mom here for a minute.
Oh, boy. Yeah, tell that. Yeah.
Put Mom on blast. Okay, so coming from Philadelphia, of course, everybody's, on the beat about their business, and, you're always on the go. And so Mom came up to me, and she was just all in my face.
You need to stop long enough to tell them who Mom is, because...
Backtrack,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
Vicki Wagner there, shout out. But, just all in my face, and it was just kind of awkward because I'm looking at this lady like, hey, how's it going?
Weirdo.
Pretty much. It was just a bit much.
At our house?
It was a bit much, but I didn't let it scare me, even though I was a little taken aback for a second. But yeah, then the rest was history pretty much. But it was awkward at first because, again, in Philly, you just on your beat about your business. Mm-hmm. And she was extra friendly, just extra.
No,
Well, and
not Vicky.
I don't want you to lose your place, but when we moved down here from Indianapolis, that's really what we discovered was that, people down here, I could stand in the grocery line and the person in front of me like, I had gallbladder surgery and this happened. And like, I
Tell
don't
you
know
their
who
whole
you
life
are.
story.
What are you doing?
And do you want to come over for dinner?
Yeah, and the doctor put it in a glass jar for me. If you'd like to come and see it, come on over. And it's just crazy, but I think it kind of grew on us.
Yeah.
And so, Vicky is just that person. She's going to be the person that's going to make you feel at home, feel welcome. But yet, if you don't come from that DNA,
Right.
it's kind of weird.
Exactly.
So, what brought you to South Point? How'd you end up in South Point?
Actually, my aunt lived here, graduated from Eastern University, Christian College in Pennsylvania, with a bachelor's in social work there. And I just kind of wanted to switch it up. I actually came for a visit, and it ended up being, I kind of fell in love with the church and just never left.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit of time before you actually got involved in ministry. So let's fill that gap with you now have a family.
Correct.
Let me back up a little bit too. Beep. Yeah. Beep. Wow, we got sound effects now. New room, new sound effects.
That's
Dee has really truly become part of my family. If you look at the pictures on the wall here at the church of me and my family, Dee and her husband and children are part of our family. We consider her our daughter. Her kids are my grandkids, and so it really has turned into, over the 20 years that she's been part of the church, it really has turned into a family unit, and they're included in everything that we do, our lunches that we do, sometimes trips that we take, and she's always with us, and I'm so thankful for that, and it's just kind of cool that really if Vicky had not have been that way, who knows? I mean, maybe it wouldn't have turned out that way, right? But I'm glad she did. So tell us about your family. Tell us how you met your husband and how long you've been married and all those kind of things.
Wow, we're getting pretty personal here.
Yeah, I know. Well, wait a minute. Are we allowed to? I know that you are involved in social work, right? So you're not.
Right.
Don't say anything you're not supposed to say.
I won't say anything I'm not supposed to say. And I don't want to put that out there because I don't want solicitations. Keep those to yourself. But actually, I met Dane online. Shocker, right? And yeah, we just talked and kind of for a while. And then we actually met in person. Had my friend kind of hanging out in the background to make sure, he wasn't a little psycho there.
Wasn't a creeper.
Smart.
And yeah, we just kind of talked and just pretty much the rest is history. I mean, we were engaged in not even a year, even though Mom was like, whoa, we need to wait a year here. She was making sure I was good, but, and he met the family. And of course, Mom had to do a full interview, make sure he was good. And
some things never change.
Yeah. We got married in September, and then we found out we were pregnant with Destin in November, even though I was on birth control. Wow. A lot of information there.
Yeah.
Miracle
Hey,
baby.
my mom was on birth control, and I came along.
Yeah.
So, hey.
Hence the name Destin, right? Destin to be, because she's here. And then, of course, we waited some time in between time to have Darren. And so we just, again, like Pop said, which is PT.
That's me.
We've just been included in all the family affairs there, and we really enjoy being a part. Because, again, my family is not from here, so we just rely on them for a great deal.
Yeah.
She's like, Dane, listen, wherever we go, she will find us. We just got to give in.
We might as well just stay here. There's nothing we can do. So some time elapsed, and then you felt the call to a particular ministry. We call it dance or interpretive dance. You call it Beyond Words.
Right.
Tell us what that is and kind of how that came about.
Yeah, I don't even know if you know this, but actually when I was in Philadelphia, I attended a United Methodist church there, and I actually kind of started their dance ministry.
I did not know that.
Which was mime, right? So I do mime on occasion. But, yeah, this just been kind of rooted in me. And once I got here, it was just something that I, felt called to do here as well. And then kind of just linked up with some people, whenever the opportunity presented itself, and just to, make sure that I was still fulfilling the calling that God had placed on my life.
To the person that may not know what that is, just in your own words, just what is this ministry that we call Beyond Words, this dance ministry? What is it?
Well, pretty much what you said, but interpretive dance, right? So for me, it's more or less, hearing from God, hearing from the Spirit of God to reach out to individuals to get across a message, right? That's not normally seen. It's no words behind it. We may do some visual effects with some signs, or what people like to call it here is quote unquote drama. You put kind of acting together with it. But for me, it's all about hearing from the Spirit of God. If I'm dancing by myself, it's more of a movement. It's nothing that's put together. So when I dance, it's pretty much free flow off the Spirit of God. I may have, put some of it together, but for the most part, when I get up there, it's straight from the Holy Spirit.
One of the things that I always think about when it comes to, as people call drama, interpretive dance, all of that type of stuff, is prophets in the Old Testament. Mm-hmm. That's how they shared their message from God, via, dressing a certain way or eating certain foods or doing certain ways. And then Jesus comes forth and he uses parables, just it's storytelling in a different way from just speaking words. Right. And it's storytelling through music and through actions and through emotions. And it's ways that I feel like reaches, it's non-generational. Right. Because a small kid can watch her and know what she's doing versus an old person too. You know what I'm saying?
Well, not only that, but, and I don't know how to say it other than like cross-generational. I mean, an older person, younger person, yes, but then even say a person that's saved versus a person that's not.
Yeah.
I mean, that particular ministry can really jump across all of those walls, if you will, and make an impact on somebody. Mm-hmm. Whereas they're like, well, I don't want to hear the preacher, or I don't like this singing, or I don't. When you do an interpretive dance like that, and it really does jump across the generational line as well as the spiritual line of whether that person is a believer or a non-believer. And I think it's a great opportunity for anybody to be able to express a spiritual message, whatever that is.
And for me, it's never a performance either. Like a performance, it is never a performance, right? There's an audience of one, right, which is God. But for me, it's never an act, right? There's some acting going along with it, but it's never a performance because I didn't come here to perform for anyone. Yes, there is an audience. Yes, there is a congregation, but it's never a performance because it is a ministry, of God.
Yeah.
I was just going to say the name I don't think could be any more perfect because where words fail, that emotion needs no explanation, and it's recognizable across the board to anybody, anywhere, and everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I just think that's perfect. It's very poetic.
Absolutely. I know sometimes you are solo, but then there are times that you do have a crew around you. How does that happen? Say someone's listening, maybe that attends Tri-State Worship Center, and they're wanting to know how they could get involved in that with you. What do you say?
Reach out to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here at the church. Of course, my number's out there on the poster for Glow Girls. You can find it there. Send me a text, or you can send me an email, Demetria Russell 2014 @gmail.com. Not that you're going to know how to spell that, but if you need it later, I can give it to you.
We'll put it in the description on this episode.
That'd be good. Yeah, let's do that. And so that ministry developed, and we are thankful that the Lord brought you here, and that He birthed that in you, and not just for here at the church, but I know you've done several things outside of the church. Most recently, I was at the Juneteenth celebration at the Highlands Museum, and you did an interpretive thing there. It was powerful. Time progressed, and then an opportunity came. We have a ministry here at Tri-State Worship Center called Glow, and it's a girls ministry. We started with Royal Rangers, which is kind of like a spiritual Boy Scouts, if you will, and then we said, okay, now let's do the same thing.
What about the ladies?
For the ladies. And so we have a ministry called Glow Girls, and so Dee is not only over our Beyond Words ministry, which is the dance ministry, but she is also the director of our Glow Girls ministry. And so Dee, if you can, just talk a minute about what is Glow Girls, and then maybe talk about how you got involved in it.
Well, I mean, pretty much like you said, as far as the boys is concerned, it's pretty much, I like to say Christian Girl Scouts, so to speak, if you want to put the air quotes on that.
Yeah.
But it's just basically, girls K through 8th grade, and we kind of hang out. We do some camping. We do, some biblical lessons there, make it relatable to their lives. It's just an all-around good time, pretty much.
And I know
every other Thursday.
I know you spend some time doing life skills kind of things,
Right.
cooking,
sewing,
right,
crocheting with Candace.
That sounds like a TV show.
It does.
Crocheting with Candace.
That's going to be that's season 7.
Yeah.
Biscuits with Holly.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have a pecan pie night with PT coming up soon.
Or bologna sandwich.
I'm getting hungry now. And so it tell us when it meets. I interrupted you when you were getting ready to do that. What night do they meet?
Every other Thursday at 6 p.m.
Okay. And probably the best way to figure out which Thursday night is the website, I guess, TSWC.org. There's a calendar there. Or isn't there's a Glow Facebook page, right?
Correct.
And is it just Glow, or is it TSWC Glow? Or I should
It's
know
just
this.
Glow
I'm the
Girls.
pastor.
Yeah,
But
it's Glow Girls. But it actually is a private page, so you just have to send a request, and I can put you on there.
So they can't see the information. They can't see, like, if you're having a meeting and it's posted on there, they wouldn't.
Right.
Okay, just send a request for info, and we'll get it to you.
Does GLOW stand for something? Did we already say that?
We haven't said it, but yes, it does.
Yes, God's light in our world.
Thank you, Dee, because I was trying to remember. I knew it was God something,
So,
but I could.
is this something like Royal Rangers that's like that other people do, or is this something we just created for the girls here, like at our church?
Right. Well, it's kind of, for the most part, yes. To answer your short answer, yes. But it's also kind of I forget what the actual wording of it is. But for the most part, short answer, yes.
So like there's other Royal Ranger posts, but we
Right.
don't know that there's other
No.
GLOW.
No.
Right.
It's kind of more of a girls, I forget what the actual term is, but it's girls something. And so the name was actually created for.
Yeah, I know when we
TSWC.
first started talking about it, and we had someone else that was in charge of it, we actually used another organization girls club thing. And
Yeah,
it
that's
just,
exactly what it's called, Girls Club.
Girls Club. And
Thing?
it just,
Is it called Girls Club Thing?
actually, I think it was Girls Club Thing.
Dang.
With a snap.
Yeah, and a little dip of the head there. But it just, I felt, if I remember correctly, at least the conversation that was going on at the time, it didn't really just fit what we wanted. And so we kind of just backed up and just kind of recreated and came up with something that we felt like fit us better, fit our DNA better.
Right.
And Dee's, how long have you been over that?
I think it'll be a year soon.
It's getting
Yeah.
there. I was going to say a year, but
Yeah.
it's getting there. And you have some adult helpers with you, right?
Correct.
That kind of
Always looking for help, though.
Yeah, I was going to say if somebody out there looking to help be involved in
Shameless plug.
no, it's a good plug. It's a good one.
People, we need your help.
So tell me what you think. What can the local church, if time and money are not issues, what can the local church do to help both the ministries, both the Beyond Words as well as the Glow Girls? How can the local church help you continue those things?
Well, I mean, just like we just said, as far as people is concerned, I think we've been hearing this over over and over, right? We always hear it. The work is great, but the laborers are few.
Yeah.
You know, there's a great work to do, but there's not very many laborers to do it. And
Yeah.
so I think that would present as a challenge, you know, as far as any leader in any position, you know, if you don't have the laborers to do the work that you need to do, it makes it tough and it can be discouraging at times. So, you know, if you feel led to assist, hit me up.
And that you may have just answered my next question, which was, you know, what do you feel is the biggest hindrance? And I'm going to assume
Yeah.
that it's the laborer part.
for
it's,
sure.
It's really, I mean, it's just like it's called the Pareto principle in business, but it applies to churches, and that is 20% of the people do 80% of the work,
Right.
and 20% of the people give 80% of the money, and that's just wrong. I mean, it's just really wrong. It's not equal giving of time, talent, testimony, and treasure. It's equal sacrifice. You know, we have people that can give $100 a week, but we got other people that can only give $5 a week. So it's not about the equal giving; it's about equal sacrifice, and even down into, you know, the time. I mean, I'm sure if we polled the entire audience and said, "Do you believe in Glow Girls ministry?" I believe 100%. 100%. Yes, we all believe in it. But if you go back through and say, are you willing to help
who
with
wants
it?
to volunteer?
Right. It's like the guy, and I won't get this story right, I'm sure, but the guy who would walk the tight wire across the Niagara Falls, and he walked across 3 or 4 or 5 times, and then he said, you know, I'm going to walk across and put somebody in a wheelbarrow across. Does anybody believe I can do that? And of course, everybody's like, yeah. Because, well, who wants to get in? Well, nobody. Nobody wants to. And so I think maybe it's a common issue with all churches, and that is just laborers.
Right.
That verse that you quoted, you know, it says that the harvest is ripe. The harvest is ready. Matter of fact, I did a message on this a couple weeks ago. It's all good. The problem is not the harvest. The problem is there's not enough people to go out and work the harvest.
Right.
And that even comes down to whether it's Glow Girls, Royal Rangers, Beyond Words, and several of the other ministries that not just here at Tri-State Worship Center, but any church in this area around the globe, that it takes people to get those things done. And as much as I feel like I know your heart is to, you know, really just bust that and
Right.
really get on it. You can't do it by yourself.
Right.
You know, and again, as a lead pastor, I feel the same way. I mean, there's so many things that you feel like we want to do this, we want to accomplish that, but you got to have people to do it. And so if you're listening to this podcast, and specifically if you're part of Tri-State Worship Center, the goal was not for us to get saved and just sit on our southern hemisphere. You know, the goal is to get saved and get involved in the ministry somewhere, whatever it is. And, you know, people say, well, you know, I don't really have any special gifts. I don't have anything. No, everybody can do something. Everybody can. And so I think that it would be awesome if this would generate some interest for people to get involved in Glow Girls, because I think it's an important ministry. I mean, our kids are being bombarded by everything else, whether it's school, media, friends, whatever it is. And what they really need is some good foundational truth in their life, which is really all we're trying to do, is to bring truth into their life. Yeah, teach them some life skills. They need that.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, there are so many people that will complain about that. Well, here's your opportunity to do something about it.
Right.
Absolutely.
To be that positive influence versus everything else that they're getting on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, you said people say that they don't have gifts or whatever. I mean, one of the things with Journey, our youth ministry, is several times when we've talked about people becoming youth leaders, they're like, well, what does that require of me, or what do you need me to do? Yeah. Like, build relationships with the kids.
Right.
Like, that's it. Like, I don't need you to know the Bible frontwards and backwards. I don't need you to be a singer, play guitar. I need you to go in there and build relationships to these kids, because at some point, they're not going to want to text Pastor Ryan, and they're not going to text me, but they're going to look to you for comfort, for guidance, for wisdom. You know, take them out to eat, go do something with them. And that's the same with Glow Girls and Rangers. You know, sometimes just being a body, a supporting figure, because some of them don't have the mothers and the fathers that they should. And so just being that support system for the kids to know that they have a safe haven within the church, that's just important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't know if this will backfire on me or not, but to kind of just emphasize the point that Holly made, I know Irene Wentz comes on Thursday nights and helps you. I don't know what Irene does, okay?
She helps in the kitchen.
Well, I was going to ask.
Right.
I mean, because of your comment about you don't have to be a Bible scholar, and I mean, some people are just needed to help prepare whatever the snack's going to be that night. And Irene is one of those people. I mean, I know Irene's in her 80s, and man, that woman just is not afraid to sacrifice and do whatever it takes.
Right.
And I've been. I don't really mean to get down the rabbit trail, but here I go.
To Nicaragua.
To Nicaragua. We're going to. Let's go to Nicaragua, everybody. And Irene's been there with us a couple times, and she puts me to shame as far as, I mean, she's just a worker. She's just going to go for it. And it's not because somebody's going to step back and mention her name on a podcast. It's not because someone's going to stand in the pulpit and say, hey, look how great Irene Wentz is, even though I've just done that. But she does it because she loves those girls, and she just wants to find something that she can do in the church. And you know, how awesome it is to just see that out of her, but how much more awesome. I was going to say awesomer.
I'm more awesome.
You said more happier yesterday.
I did say that.
I was like, did he
I was
just say
listening.
that?
I was listening to myself. I thought, you big galoot, what are you doing?
More happier.
You know, one of the things I remember you saying when we were talking about, you know, as far as laborers, right? If you would just go to someone and ask, you know, will they help you? Now I have, and
She looked at me.
I have asked. So maybe, you know, if I haven't asked you, it's just not presented to me, right? I don't know specifically. I don't know everybody at the church, right? Just because I'm associated with the pastor. Yes, he's my pop. Yes, Vicky's my mom. But, you know, we don't really sit around and talk about everybody at the church. You know, when we're eating, we're eating. You know what I mean?
You hear that? We don't talk about
We don't
you.
talk about people.
So, you know.
Normally we don't.
If you feel led, seek me out. You know, if you feel like this is something you want to assist with, I'm sure I can find something for you to do. Believe me,
I mean,
there is something to do.
part of we're doing a thing, and other church leaders that are listening to this, you probably do the same thing. We're starting this thing called Growth Track. It's a 4-week series of classes that I'm teaching to do exactly what you just kind of touched on, and that is, why are you sitting around waiting for someone to come and ask you to do something? You're part of a ministry here, Tri-State Worship Center, or whatever church that you're connected to. If you're listening, you're part of a ministry. It's your kind of your responsibility, if you are part of that of the ministry, to shoulder some of the load. And you know, it's not just about coming and sitting through a service and singing 3 songs and hearing a message and going home. It's about being part of the DNA of the church, to be part of the ministries that are happening. I mean, we here at Tri-State Worship Center, and you guys are my witness. We don't normally really focus that much on our church, but I'm getting ready to do it right now.
Hold on, everybody.
You know, we have shoebox ministry. We have a homeless ministry. We have the Glow Girls. We have the Royal Rangers. We have youth ministry. We have middle school ministry. We have a men's Bible study.
Young adults.
Young adults.
I mean, you guys can just fill in all those blanks that my 64-year-old brain is not remembering.
We have a media ministry.
Media ministry.
Nursery.
Nursery. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But a lot
Greeters.
of what
We
is
have
it?
a
Greeters.
Greeters ministry.
Yeah. Our goal is to make every person that walks in the door feel so at home and welcomed. But it takes people to do that. Yeah. And in the world that we live in, what we want to do is we want to throw money at the problem, right? Hey, can you help me do this? Well, here's $20 to hire somebody to help you. We just need people. We just need people to help us in those areas. And I believe it's a calling that every attender of any church should answer. And that is, what can I do? I mean, I don't care if it's stacking chairs, stack chairs to the glory of God, if it's setting tables up.
Where was it that somewhere, maybe it was a God Factor event or something that somebody mentioned there was an actual ministry of chairs.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
It was
And
Scotty
you
Smith.
perked up. You
Yeah.
were like, oh.
It was Scotty Smith when
Oh, that's what
they
it was,
moved to South Carolina. They were trying to find a church, and they found a church that had ministry of chairs, and that was just people that set chairs up. And he knew my fixation on making sure our chairs were always in line, and so he wanted me to know about it. Great, send me somebody that cares about the chairs, right? Janitorial, whatever it is, and so I didn't want to really get too far away from D and dance and glow, but you really hit on it, D, and that is we need people. We cannot do this with just 3 or 4 people. It takes a crew of people to accomplish it. Every Sunday in our media ministry, which some people would just say the sound booth, but we have sound going on. We have images being displayed on our screen.
Slides, yeah.
We have Facebook Live going on. We got camera people that are. We say camera people. We do our Facebook Live with iPhones. So iPhone people that are working, and it takes people to do that, and it takes people to minister to our young ladies. And they're, like I said, they're bombarded with all this other stuff, and we're just trying to make a difference for the kingdom in touching the lives of some of these young ladies to give them some truth and give them the gospel. Give them some self-esteem. Give them some things that will make them feel good about themselves, and we need people to help us to do that. And so, if you do have an interest in that, I mean, D, or as she said, Demetria.
Demetria.
I don't know that I've ever
I don't
called
think
you
I've
that.
ever called her that either.
No one does.
You?
It's too hard.
Exactly. That's where D came from. It's just easier to remember.
Well, it's the same thing with Pastor Terry Wagner, but everybody just calls me
PT.
PT. Yeah. It's just easier. It's easier. So, what do you see? It'll be my last question. I'm sure Holly's got 1,000 more.
Oh,
but,
no.
Where do you see this going, Dee? And what's the 5-year plan of Glow Girls? Where do you see it heading? I mean, or maybe I should ask you what's your dream? What's your vision for that ministry?
She's like, I'm just trying to make it through next week. Come on now.
I just need more people.
Oh, wow. I mean, of course, one of the main goals of any kind of ministry would be, to touch the lives of others, right? Just based on my obedience to, to be the leader, so to speak. But yeah, just to touch the lives of the girls, just to make some kind of impact, you know what I mean, that they could take back to their school, take back to their house in the event that, their family isn't saved. And just those core, values as far as, Bible, life skills, all those things. I think one of the goals, I would guess we would say, would maybe to, at some point, add high schoolers, right? So that way it doesn't stop at 8th grade, but we can also include those high schoolers at some point. But again, we need the labor.
Yes, we got to have the
And
people.
that's the one she asked me about. I think that's why she brought it up. Because I never answered.
It's okay.
I'm not hurt too bad.
Because honestly, we'll get into it. The only reason I didn't answer is because I thought to myself, I just need to get through VBS. And then I just forgot to answer after that.
And then I forgot because, I mean.
Now here we are, airing it on the podcast.
Airing it on the podcast.
We
That's
still
not
love
what-
each
Put
other.
our dirty laundry out there.
I'm also, studying for my MSW, so I
Yeah.
do got a lot of things going on. But, again, it is what it is. And once it gets to the point that we can do that, we will.
But
No pressure.
Here's again, and I don't know why we're hammering on this, but Holly obviously would be a great candidate to join up for the older high school age.
But
Holly does everything,
right?
right? I mean, well, not everything, but she does a lot.
She does a lot of stuff.
Da, 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 da.
She's a juggler.
Yeah, I was good.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was thinking about the last podcast. Well, Holly, you've been through the change, haven't you?
That was so weird. I was listening to it today, and I was like, I totally forgot he said that.
Yeah, and when I listened to it, I thought, should I have cut that out? And
No, it's PT at its finest. But, and Dee, I'm not discouraging, obviously, that connection. I think it'd be a great connection, not just for the ministry part, but you two are sisters, and I mean, each other. But why isn't there someone that can step up
what an
and
opportunity
say,
for somebody
hey,
to-
I really believe that these high school girls need what you're doing, and I want to be the person to do that. And it really is something that the church just, it's not just recently. I mean, ever since I've been in church, it's been an issue of just getting people to get involved.
I think people think about it too much, maybe. I don't know. Like, they feel like they have to look a certain way, act a certain way, know a certain thing. And, like, especially with, like, and I go back to Journey just because that's my experience, but, like, Shannon and Steven, both of them are like, I don't want anything to do with teenagers. Like, I don't even like my own, they have teenagers. They're like, I don't even like my own teenagers. But they got in there and, and they realized, I just have to love on these kids and, talk things through with them. And I mean, it doesn't, I think people just overthink it. I think the enemy gets in their ears and says, you don't have anything to offer. You're not perfect. You have failures. You're this. Why would anybody want to listen to you?
Right.
And as long as the enemy can keep you stagnant and not moving and not doing anything, then he's won.
Right.
And then we get into the circle of, okay, you have this 20%, and then they're running around like rabbits trying to do everything.
Yeah.
And then they get burnt out.
Right.
And it's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part of it in church work down through the years is that those 20% they do get to a point, and we can talk about burnout some other time because I have some different views about that, but they get to a point where they need a break.
Yeah.
And we just need people to step up. So Dee, I'm glad we were able to talk about Beyond Words. I'm glad we were able to talk about Glow Girls. But I thank you for bringing up the fact that there's this void in churches, not just Tri-State Worship Center. I feel like that we have a wonderful church. We have a loving church. We have a church that is a family, a church that has a lot of ministry going on. But we're a church just like every other church that constantly is looking for people to step up and say, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. And as the pastor, it's crucial for me because I sat down at my desk almost every day, and there's a flow chart there and of all the different things that we're involved in, and there's so many blanks of people that we don't have that are in charge of things that we need. So
like VBS is always so successful, and one of the reasons that it's so successful is because you have all of these people.
Yeah, they
You
all
have
come.
people coming in the kitchen and just doing crap. I mean, they're everywhere because and you say who wants to be involved in VBS, and we're looking at a room full of people. But it's only one time a year.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's not a every week or every other week kind
And
of
they're
thing.
like, I just love this. I love when we do stuff like this. But then they don't want to do it again until it rolls around again. Like, you can have a VBS type experience every other Thursday.
In any ministry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's just, it's time, you know?
Time is money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me. We gotta wrap this up. We're nearing our 40-minute mark that we try to set as a target to end things. So let me say this to those of you that are Tri-State Worship Center peeps that are involved. Thank you so much. We're not talking about you. You're already involved and you're doing. But if you're a part of our church or a part of any church, and you have not found that place of ministry yet, let me encourage you to seek someone out. And, you know, even if that means seeking the pastor out and ask your pastor, say, what can I do? What can I be involved in? If you're here at Tri-State Worship Center, find Dee Russell. Find Demetria Russell.
Please don't walk up to me and call me Demetria. I'm going to be looking around like, who are they talking to?
Don't ask anybody else where she's at by Demetria, because they will
Right,
not know
'cause
what
they
you're
don't-
talking about.
Demetria.
I didn't know we had one of those. But seek somebody out and get involved, because not only are you needed, but it is so rewarding.
Right.
So rewarding when you can put your part into the kingdom and let God use that and see what He does. I'm 64, been in ministry for 45 years, full time for 32 years. I know. Hang on, and there are
And
young.
if he lives till next September.
Yeah, if I live till next September, I'll be 65. But there are some kids that were in the youth group when I was a youth pastor in the early 80s, mid 80s, that I still am in touch with today, that it is so rewarding to hear them say some of the things that they say. And I just recently, I'll give a shout out. Tim Minks is the pastor of a church in Terre Haute, Indiana. He was in our youth group, and he put something on his Facebook, and I responded to it. And his remembrance, his recollection was something that happened in the youth group when we were there together. And so just to be part of something and know that you're making an impact in the kingdom, that you're touching someone's life, and that you're making a difference, it's worth it. It's worth the sacrifice. It's worth the time. And so I encourage you, seek somebody out. Find a pastor. Find someone over a ministry. Ask them what you can do. Dee, thank you so much for just sitting and hanging out with us in our new studio.
Looks
with,
nice.
with our new equipment, and we appreciate what you do here at Tri-State Worship Center. And you are my daughter, and I appreciate and love you. And Holly, thank you for hanging out with us. You had to hurry to get here, and we had to wait on you, but it was worth it. It was worth it.
Thanks.
And Tyler, the magician, what can I say?
I don't know. Whatever you do, I can cut it out. So, it doesn't matter. So if it's good, we'll leave it. If it's bad, I'll take it out.
Well, it's all been said. All right. We're going to get out of here. We appreciate you listening to the Just Saying podcast. Join us again in our next episode. Until then, we'll see you.
See ya.